She walks into the room and everything changes. Not just the energy, but something deeper, something that reaches into places he didn't even know existed within him. He finds himself thinking about her when he should be focused on work. He feels emotions he can't name, desires that go beyond the physical, and a strange sense that she holds keys to parts of himself he's never accessed. What's happening to him isn't simple attraction. According to Carl Jung's revolutionary psychology, he's experiencing what Jung called the Anima effect, and it's about to turn his psychological world upside down. Jung discovered that within every man's unconscious lies a feminine figure he called the Anima. This isn't just a concept, it's a living, breathing psychological force that represents everything feminine that a man has repressed, denied, or never developed within himself. It's his capacity for intuition, emotional depth, creativity, and soul connection. Most men live their entire lives without ever consciously encountering their anima. But then certain women appear and everything changes. When a man meets a woman who embodies his anima projection, he doesn't just find her attractive, he finds her psychologically essential. She represents parts of his soul he's been unconsciously seeking his entire life. This creates what Jung called a constellation in the psyche, where dormant psychological content suddenly activates and demands attention. The rational mind that he's relied on for decades suddenly seems inadequate. He's pulled into emotional territories he doesn't understand, experiencing feelings that masculine conditioning taught him don't exist. The psychological chaos begins because his anima projection creates impossible expectations. He doesn't see her as she actually is. He sees her as the embodiment of his own unlived feminine potential. She becomes his muse, his salvation, his key to wholeness. But here's the devastating part. No actual woman can live up to an archetypal projection. She's being asked to carry the weight of his entire relationship with the feminine, and that's psychologically crushing for both of them. Jung understood that men who haven't done their inner work are particularly susceptible to anima possession. They become obsessed, not with the woman herself, but with what she represents to their unconscious. They write her poetry at 3 a.m, feel inspired to create art, experience spiritual awakening, all because she's activated dormant parts of their psyche. But they also become moody, irrational, and emotionally volatile because they're suddenly feeling aspects of themselves they've never integrated. The chaos intensifies because the anima effect reveals everything a man has been avoiding about himself. If he's been emotionally shut down, she makes him feel vulnerable. If he's been overly rational, she awakens his intuitive side. If he's been spiritually disconnected, she becomes his goddess. But masculine conditioning hasn't prepared him for these experiences. He doesn't have the emotional vocabulary or psychological tools to navigate what's happening to him. What makes certain women particularly powerful anima carriers is often their embodiment of qualities the man has suppressed. If he grew up in a family where emotions were forbidden, he'll be drawn to women who are emotionally expressive. If creativity was discouraged, he'll be magnetized by artistic women. If spirituality was absent, he'll be captivated by women who embody mystical qualities. She becomes his unconscious completing herself, and that's both intoxicating and terrifying. The psychological chaos manifests in contradictory behaviors that confuse everyone involved. He pursues her intensely because his psyche recognizes what it needs, but then becomes overwhelmed by the emotional activation she creates. He idealizes her beyond human possibility, then becomes resentful when she can't fulfill his unconscious expectations. He feels more alive around her than ever before, but also more psychologically unstable. Jung warned that anima projections, while powerful, are ultimately imprisoning for both people involved. The man becomes addicted to the feeling of wholeness she provides, but it's false wholeness because it's dependent on her presence. He hasn't actually integrated his anima, he's just found someone to carry it for him. Meanwhile, she becomes trapped in an impossible role, expected to be his eternal feminine rather than her own complete person. The tragedy is that most men experiencing the anima effect don't understand what's happening to them. They think they're in love, but they're actually in love with their own projection. They think she's their soulmate, but she's actually reflecting their disowned soul back to them. The psychological chaos they feel isn't pathology. It's their psyche demanding integration of long-suppressed aspects of themselves. Jung believed the anima effect serves an important function in masculine development. It's the psyche's way of initiating a man into his own wholeness. But the goal isn't to find the perfect anima woman and live happily ever after. The goal is to recognize the projection, withdraw it, and begin the work of integrating those feminine qualities within himself. Only then can he relate to actual women as complete individuals rather than carriers of his psychological projections. For women who find themselves in this position, understanding the anima effect is crucial. You're not responsible for his psychological chaos, but you're caught in its wake. His intense reaction to you isn't necessarily about who you are, it's about what you've activated in him. The pedestal he puts you on is as dehumanizing as any form of rejection because it denies your full humanity. The path forward requires consciousness from both parties. He must recognize that his psychological turmoil is internal work calling to be done, not evidence that you're his missing piece. You must understand that his intensity, while flattering, isn't truly about you, it's about his relationship with his own psyche. Jung's insights reveal that the anima effect, while initially chaotic, can be the beginning of profound psychological growth, but only if both people understand what's really happening and commit to the inner work it demands. Otherwise, it remains a beautiful, destructive cycle that prevents genuine intimacy and authentic love. If this explanation of the anima effect helped you understand the psychological chaos in your relationships, like this video, share it with others navigating these deep waters, and subscribe for more Jungian insights into the mysteries of human connection.